What's going on? It's Justeeni here. Today, we've got part 2 of the small Conti ZEBASI Polysseum. And this time, we are against Signor Avanzo, who you might recognize. We've played him a couple times before in the Chinchi Polysseum. And you guys are ready for the Villa Rush? Because it's about to get really spicy. So let's just get right into things. So first game I'm hosting, I've got a coastal spawn, which usually doesn't fare well for Villa Rush, but I'm going to do it anyway. Turn 3 meditation, training no warriors, so then I can do that. That's the only way to make it happen. Upgrade turn 4, super greedy. But I'm able to kind of just chill on my own continent. This is why this strategy works on continents. And now, recap, I get philosophy and upgrade. And I'm developing quite fast, considering I got philosophy. And I'm also on the water. Again, I have this coastal spawn. My second city was also coastal. So this makes sense actually to rush the water. And again, usually rushing the water is a bit not so good with philosophy. The main idea is to get construction and go into trade. And then with those cheaper techs, you're suddenly able to buy even more when you actually have a good economy. But going naval works as well. Navigation's cheaper, aquatism, which is usually a good pickup, is cheaper, and you'll see some other things that might be a little useful as well. So I find this village, and I can tell it's probably an island village, so I figure it's safe to go for. I meet the opponent, and look at all these starfish. So I can pick up nav for very cheap, and I get my giant thanks to the Altar of Peace, which is also going to up quite a bit. Park of Fortune here just to get more economy. And it looks like I'm going to be getting naval dominance. I see the writing. I assume they are going for, like, trade and stuff. That's usually what happens if you see writing. So again, explore, see what's going on. Sure enough, they already have roads. You can definitely expect to trade at this point. And they do have some bridge spots that I have to be mindful of. But again, I do have philosophy. Normally, if you full commit to the water, them getting bridges is a pretty big issue because it's hard to pivot into some sort of defensive option, but I have philosophy. I can do whatever I want. I can pivot into literally anything. Upgrading the city. Stepping on these starfish, and yeah, I'm going to use navigation and profit pretty big time. Really nice border growth there by the opponent. But yeah, now construction. Just getting some more giants. Organization. Get that quick upgrade. And yeah, turn 12, my economy is doing pretty decent. Nothing insane, but again, I do have philosophy and quite a few techs. And they're going to be very cheap, so it's very easy for me to get a lot. They're trying to fight back getting in the water before getting construction and trade, which is a bit risky, and it's especially risky against Villa Rush, because now I get strategy. And I'm going to have an advantage in the water because of that, unless they pick up strategy. So they're fighting an uphill battle. They get construction. They've got a lot of giants, so it looks very scary. This typical market rush stuff where you fight back with juggernauts, but they don't have the aquatism. They just have fishing, likely not even sailing at this point. And now they do have aquatism though, so they get aquatism. I get a mining ruin, which isn't too bad, but not too amazing either. And then just move some stuff around, heal. They're splashing my things around, they get rammers. And now I get aquatism myself. And again, just look at how many techs I have. Got aquatism, navigation, mining from the ruin, got construction and strategy. And I'm going to be getting even more, let me tell you. I'm not stopping here. Another rammer. And they're just not going to be able to get that foothold in the water that they need. They commit so much, even getting aquatism, which for them was really expensive. For me, not too big of a deal. Another giant. Looks scary, but now I get this bomber, and I harvest the starfish as well, so again, things are looking really good for me. Tons of defender rammers with aquatism, which are so hard to deal with. These juggernauts just can't get it done. And this bomber's just going to be sticking around. They can't deal with that, so I am assured naval dominance. But there's the markets. And now, even though I have naval dominance, there is still something I have to worry about. Remember these bridges earlier? These are going to be pretty important to defend. Because that's the Signor's win condition here. But I advance my bomber, really pressure this area. I've got a target and I need to target the target. Yeah, that's how it works. But I get some more giants. It's going to keep this area nice and well defended. I've got 2 giants there and the veteran sword and some other stuff. More markets. They're just developing, which does give me some time. Because again, we're not interacting with each other a whole lot. That means I can pick up diplomacy, and you might see where this is going. Again, yet another upside of philosophy. Look at how many techs I can pick up. It's amazing. I'm going to keep mentioning that because philosophy is awesome. And they're just healing their units sitting back. They've got strategy now. I'm starting to just pressure with like some subtle things. And now I get the cloaks. Got this cloak already. Giant push. And I'm ready to give them a really tough time. I assume that they do have vision on the cloaks. I'm actually not 100% sure. But if they want to stop this, they can. They do have a way. And I'm aware of this. They can place a road, and they can place a board here. If they do that, they damage the bomber, kill the cloak. But I'm fine with this because then their giant dies. So it's a bit of a trade that I'm offering. And the thing is, because their giants are finite, killing their giant just means I'm going to land more cloaks later. And they get a really nice wall here. They acknowledge that their economy is so great that they just don't need to get resources. But they also get a border growth, which while the border growth seems good, there are some issues with it. Namely, well, I already have diplomacy, so this is just another target. And they're trying to fight back. They're doing a good job trying to use this water here, but they're not placing these bridges, mainly because I just have this area defended already. And I also have roads myself. Getting that for those juicy road connections and potential trade later down the line. But now, the cloak lands, I siege, more bombers, just to keep that naval dominance, more cloaks, and yeah, everything's just going really well. Like, just look at the sheer amount of units that I have. They've got a bomber on defense, and they're able to hang on. So, unfortunately, I can't really walk in with like a giant yet. I've got to do some more pressuring. And again, they do have the economy advantage, so in theory, if the game goes long enough, they should win. But always remember, the game's not just about economy. It's about units. You need units to win the game. And you're gonna see here, I just have an overwhelming force of units. I siege with the defender again, acknowledging that the giant would most likely die if I siege with that. Siege with the vet sword here. And again, I'm just causing so many issues. The bomber on defense is a little annoying, but it's not going to hold everything. Another siege. Bomber on defense again. They can unsiege once again, barely. But I've got a giant pressure in here as well. Another border growth. More bombers. And again, just sieging. And yeah, this is just too much. I don't need markets because I have the power of philosophy. And at this point, they're simply overwhelmed. Even if they giant push, I'm just going to re-siege. And I have too many troops here. And I've got this giant here, which is also going to re-siege. I've got this bomber support. There's way too much to deal with, and they're simply losing here, so they resign. So now I'm 1-0 in this grand final, so it's a best of 3. I'll go ahead and cut to the next match. Alright, so this time, I've got a lighthouse spawn, and this usually, like with this kind of spawn, not coastal, got lighthouses, means you go markets. So that's what I'm going to do here. And I choose an unconventional opening, going straight for the lighthouse. Which in retrospect, this is not the right idea. But my idea is that I can train a warrior and get turn 3 meditation. The part that I messed up with is that I can actually still train a warrior and get turn 3 meditation, as long as I train the warrior on turn 1, because here, instead I train the warrior on turn 2. And you can see I get the meditation turn 3, but I could have captured this village a turn sooner. So this was a bit of a mistake on my part. I do get the Philo precap to kind of make up for it, but I ultimately don't think it's actually worth it. It is pretty nice to get the Philo precap, but it slows down my expansion quite a bit. So it's very risky to play like this. But I'm setting up my farms. I've got some ideas of how I want my markets to look. I will say, because it's a live game, it's really hard to plan optimal markets. So I definitely don't do a perfect job. But oftentimes you don't really need perfect markets. You just need good enough markets, and you're just producing so many stars. And especially with the tech discount of Philo, as long as you get enough stars, you'll usually win the game. Now I get this nice border growth on my capital. Takes up a good amount of space. Now I get fishing and riding. I plan to go to the water because I suspect I can get the city. And also I need fishing to level this up. I get an explorer. Again, I have fishing. And I meet the opponent and see that they have construction, so I assume they must be going for markets as well. They did have a lighthouse spawn, which I know from earlier, and sure enough, there are the markets on turn 11. Really, really early. But I'm thinking, well, my markets might take a bit to set up compared to them, but I'm on the water first, and I do have philosophy, so it's not over. Their spawn is definitely quite good. They're setting up some really strong markets. Unfortunately, you can actually see I can't even set up a market here. I just couldn't find a good way to do it that wouldn't diminish my other markets. There was a way. It's a little tricky to spot, though. Very easy to see in hindsight. At the moment, I was just looking through so many things, and I settled with this. So I get my markets 2 turns later, and I'm hoping philosophy is enough to just bridge the gap and this earlier water access. But they get to this island, and now they have water access themselves. So again, philosophy needs to do some serious heavy lifting here. And while I get some really, really nice markets of my own, you can see level 7, level 5, and these will get leveled up even more. Their markets are also phenomenal. And they're getting on the water. This is very, very scary stuff. And yeah, now I'm going to be able to max out these markets. And again, even though I'm missing one market here, it's not the end of the world. I could also border growth the city for another market. I'm not going to lie, I didn't see that in the game, but I kind of just noticed it now. But I have seen I'm most likely going to be down a city. I assume that we both have 4 cities on our starting continent. Again, they spawned their capital here. They likely have another city somewhere here. There's land here, so there's probably a city. So it's going to be a 5-on-6. But you guys know with the power of philosophy, 1 city disadvantage is not too big of a deal, even if the opponent has markets. So I'm not too worried yet, but this is going to be far from easy to win. I bridge here so I can start to pressure, because philosophy, you really want to pressure as many angles as possible because you have all the flexibility. The opponent doesn't, so you have to force them to defend multiple areas because that's more difficult for them to do. Now I get strategy, again just taking advantage of these tech discounts. I get this border growth. This was a late border growth, unfortunately. They border growth first, so I don't get all the land that I want. The border growth is still necessary anyway. And you can see again, even though I didn't place a market in the city, 51 star per turn with just 5 cities. That's enough to spam a knight in every city and then some. So I didn't really need the extra market all too much. It would have been nice as some optimization, but again, I didn't worry about it too much. Now I've got ramming aquatism, and I've got that before them. Again, this philosophy is going to really help me out. And I've got this mindbender. Get math so I can pressure here with the catapult. But they're going to start to fight back on the water, and this is going to be pretty rough. They're even taking the ruin. And I only have 1 bridge spot though, but then this is where I really start to lose confidence, is when I see this mindbender, because then I know that my one advantage that I thought I had of the philosophy rush, I thought they didn't have it, but they do. They rushed philosophy as well. They studied my game after they lost. They took a few minutes to accept the second game because they were looking at it, I assume. And yeah, they just decided to borrow my strategy. And that's when I knew I was really in trouble. Because the best way to beat the philosophy rush is to join in and do it yourself. And yeah, at this point, well, now I'm down a city. and they have philosophy and really good markets. But I'm just hoping maybe I can do something, because I still have one thing going for me, and it's not obvious when you look at this because it's actually not related to this map at all. I have time advantage. I was playing my turns relatively fast, trying to keep the pressure on them to play. They have like a minute and a half to do each of their turns. I've banked up like 7 minutes, so I might be able to squeeze some optimization, and they might make a lot of mistakes because they're forced to rush, and I'm just hoping that that's enough. I've got these bombers on defense because unfortunately they just have really good naval access, and they are going to get naval control, but I'm just hoping I can get some good efficient plays with my bombers. Unit efficiency is the name of the game at this point because we both have insanely good economy. But they're just pumping out so many super units. They get knights. Knights are scary. I have to bunk that and kill this because that could be a potential bomber, which would completely ruin me. I get archery for the defense bonus. Splash around some more rammers. Get a scout. Take that out. More units. Archer here, just because, unfortunately, as good as my economy is, I can't afford everything that I want. There's more bombers. It's starting to get really, really bad. There's a chain. And again, due to time pressure, I think there was a way to extend... Well, I guess they couldn't chain here, though, which is what they wanted. So yeah, there was probably a way to chain my troops, but they couldn't find it because it's actually quite tricky. So they have to settle something a little worse. But I try to stabilize. I barely am not able to kill this giant, which kind of sucks. More splashing around with the bombers, just hoping I can hold on. Another bomber. And I've kind of held off this first wave and even damaged their bomber, so it's going to give me some time. Hold on, try to outplay as much as I can. Because, you know, it's all about the unit management. If they make any mistakes, I can really capitalize, because I need to. Unfortunately, they get a good chain and a siege, and this is really rough. And they're still able to pressure really nicely here. Despite the time pressure, they're playing this very well. I whack my giant in here, but unfortunately, they've got a bunch of giants already there. They just have too many super units. Their city advantage gives them a monument, and they just have so much economy, so they can do quite a lot here. I get this really nice push to just keep things stable. And I've stabilized on the water, but unfortunately, the land is a totally different story. Again, they could have played this better, but they're just trying to not make any crazy mistakes, to just hold on to things. Now they just deal a ton of damage to this giant, though. Again, this is really bad for me. But they do keep all of their units in a possible chain, and I'm just hoping that maybe there's a way for this knight to break through. Because if there is, that could chain their whole army, and again, more important than economy, city count, anything, is unit count. And if I can chain a bunch of their units, suddenly I'm going to be the one up in units, and I can call all the shots. And even if I'm down in cities, I can still win the game, especially with cloaks or something, because I kind of can bypass the whole city restriction I have. But I need to chain first. And unfortunately, you can see this 14 HP giant is just barely not able to be chained by, I believe, 2 HP. A 12 HP giant, I believe, can be chained. So I'm just shy of being able to do it. And again, there would have also had to be a unit behind, but still. I feel like I was very close to getting something there. But at this point, I kind of have to call it because I've just run out of counterplay. Because now they've also got these bombers that are going to be established, and that'll completely ruin me. And I just resign at this point because, well, they have the unit advantage. They have every advantage. And they're doing a good job converting it. So on to game 3, the deciding game. Go ahead and cut to that. All right, so once again, I've got a coastal spawn. I see some mountains. I'm going to fill a rush. I don't even care what the spawn looks like at this point. I need to fill a rush for the content. And I know that he might fill a rush as well, because he did it last time. And now I go for more warriors here, because I'm going for this ruin. I get an explorer from it though. So it delays meditation by 1 turn. It was a little risky play. I just didn't quite pay off. I go turn 4 meditation. And then I don't capture here because I want to pick up philosophy before I capture all of these cities. That's exactly what I do. A bit slower, but in the long term, it will be better to do it like this. And its continents, I can be greedy. I've got 2 more ruins. Hopefully I can get something nice from at least one of them. And I can develop. Next turn I get Altar of Peace. There we go, fishing, lighthouse, Altar of Peace here. Very unconventional spot for Altar of Peace, but this is the thing with the Villa Rush, you have to be flexible and adapt. This monument has so many potential places it can be, and I choose this because I value the Explorer here. I think that's the way to go. Is it the best play? I have no clue, honestly. Villa Rush is hard. There's a lot of ways you can play it, and a lot of different outcomes from what you do. All your decisions matter quite a lot. But I get the Explorer with the idea of more information, and I reveal I'm getting some meeting stars, which I can then use to get on the water very quickly, and that allows me to then get a giant. So all that, which was the main reason I want an Altar Piece Vision over this area, meeting stars for giant. And I'm still stepping on these ruins, and I get the Park of Fortune here to further level this up. I didn't need to use any resources in the city to level that city up. Just 2 monuments, and it's well developed. I get a Sailing Ruin and a Vet Sword. Vet Sword's not so good, but the Sailing is nice. And I get another Explorer just to see what's up, get some good info, because I suspect I'm likely going to be the aggressor this game, and I need vision if I want to attack. Now, I don't see their capital. I'm pretty sure it's because they had a lighthouse spawn. But there's the Altar of Peace. Yeah, that's right. They are rushing philosophy again, because they know it's the meta, it's the way. But now I start attacking here, and it's gonna pose some issues, especially when they just place their Altar of Peace here. And I have this sneaky Mindbender. What's the point of this Mindbender, you may ask? Why am I training it right now? Well, you're gonna see, because I have an idea. Seems a little crazy. And I also have a Mindbender here. This one's a bit more obvious. There's a giant here. I don't want this giant to siege anything and take a city out of nowhere. Mindbender is the cheapest possible defense in the entire game for a giant. So yeah, why not use it? And so now I siege with the giant, but I don't actually expect it to hold. Because I'm going against a pro player. They have philosophy, so they have a lot of flexibility. Even though they just commit their Altar of Peace here, they have not commit their Park of Fortune, at least from what I can see. Actually, no, they did commit it. And I did see this. I didn't remember that. But I knew that they still had construction, which, while expensive, does unsiege. But I'm completely fine with this, because this was all part of the plan. So I get another giant, another Mindbender, just to be extra safe. And here it is, right on cue, the giant push. And you might be thinking, okay, so what's the plan? This is the plan. Mindbender lands, anticipating the giant push after the siege. That was the plan the whole time when I trained that Mindbender, and these are the things you have to do with Villa Rush. But oh my goodness, does it feel so good when everything lines up like this. Because the idea here is this giant cannot be used to kill my giant. It'll have to attack, which means it's going to stay on the city, it's going to weaken itself, and that makes me easily able to re-siege with my own giant, which they will not be able to giant push off of, unless they somehow get Gate of Power, which they're not even close to at this point. It's just way too much population they need. And if they kill with the giant, I just Mindbend it. So there's no way out for them. This Mindbender completely ensures I am taking the city. If I didn't have a Mindbender there, they could kill with the giant. The giant being here means if I siege, they counterattack, and if they have enough units, they deal with it. But this giant is effectively dead now, no matter how they do things. And then I also get strategy as a bit of icing on the cake. It's going to be nice to just throw in some land or siege and just establish further naval dominance. Sure enough, they do exactly what I expect. And they actually can't even kill the Mindbender, which is even worse because now I Mindbend the warrior. Now I siege with the giant, and they just cannot deal with it. get riding roads. Again, the power philosophy, I can do so much. And the reason why I get riding roads is I want Grand Bazaar. I can get it quite easily here. I have 6, soon to be 7 cities. They do take this in the east. This looks a little dangerous what they're up to here, but I'm not too worried. Especially since in the west, I've completely secured that city. And I've got these mine benders as well. You can see some bridges here, mainly for the unsiege, but they also allow the mine benders to transport. And then I Gate of Power here. This is just so goofy to look at. Just 2 fruit and then triple monument for the giant. And this giant's just way stronger than their giant, again, because of the support, the mine benders. And at this point, it's just completely winning for me. I'm up so many cities, and I have philosophy. And they just resign at this point. Because here's the thing is, even if this giant steps on, I'm going to move this mine bender right here, this one right next to it, so they're defending each other, and I can even have this defender keep everything safe. This warrior can kill this rider. They pretty much don't have a way of actually killing a mine bender if it's here. And I'm sending this giant in, which can either bridge or port. And that's also going to go in and cause even more problems for them. So they might not even keep this city. And their giant might even be like straight up trapped. Oh yeah, this is their capital, so they don't have a lighthouse spawn. Are they on 4 cities here? They should be on 4. Yeah, they do. But the city's right here, because this is their capital. But yeah, this is just overwhelmingly winning for me. Philo strat, so overpowered that the only game I lost in this tournament was also to Philo Rush. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Like and sub, and have a good one.